Of course, you know it's important to stand correctly to the ball. The placement of your feet, your legs, and your hips is actually critical to giving you the stability you need and also the ability to transfer power through your body and ultimately to give you better, stronger shots. Let's have a look today at how you should place your feet and legs and why you should do that. Hi, I'm Peter Knight. I've created this channel, Peter Knight Golf, to help you play the best golf you can. And on the channel now, there are probably over 300 videos, some delivering the same message, but a lot of different ones. And I'm sure there's something there that's going to help every one of you. Let's have a look today at how we place legs and feet in the swing, and also some of the common errors that players tend to make. So when I set myself up to play a shot, I want to be in a position where I'm balanced so that I can move and retain that balance even as pressure shifts from foot to foot and my body's rotating and the club's swinging. So here are some of the key things, particularly with the leg movement. Now, a lot of players feel that when they set themselves up, they try and stabilize the movement by knocking their knees together. So knees are turned in a little bit. When I swing the club back, that is actually going to destabilize my movement. So as the club swings back, if my knees are knocked, I'm going to be restricted in the turn. Now, the reason why is that when I swing the club back, because I'm rotating my hips, I'm effectively rotating this leg inwards a little bit. So as I go back, my hips are rotating, so that sort of rotates that leg inwards a tiny bit. Now, if I'm knock-kneed, I'm already rotating that knee in, which rotates the leg, which means I've got less room to be able to turn my hips effectively. Now, that might feel like a tighter movement, but it's a restricted movement. So ideal placement for legs and hips is that my ankle, my knee, and my hip are sort of in line here. So my knee's definitely knocked in, so you can see that's not in alignment, whereas that is. Now, for those of you who find that your knees do tend to turn in a little bit, when you set yourself up and you have to feel like you're rotating your knees out, it's almost going to feel like you've just got off riding a horse or something like that. It'll feel pretty weird to start with. But when you start to swing the golf club, when your legs are placed correctly, as you go back, you'll find that the movement's much more stable. In fact, watching from here, through my right leg there, as I swing back, if I've started off with my hip, my knee, and my ankle. Oh, and another point is that both feet are turned out very slightly. So my kneecap is pretty much in line with my shoe. So there's like an extra little checkpoint to help ensure that's correct. So as I go back from here, my body's turning, and while there's been a little bit of rotation through the leg there, my leg has actually otherwise stayed very, very stable. So that's critical to start with. When I swing the club down, again, if my knees are knocked in, then when I swing down, I'm in no position to be able to bear pressure correctly on my left foot as I swing down. So as the club swings back, my left knee, will have come in a little bit. As I begin my downswing, it goes back to where it was to start with, and then with the movement forward of my hips, it goes to a point where my left leg now becomes vertical. So now I'm very stable through that left side there, and as I continue my swing, I'm just going to rotate around that leg. So again, if my knees are set up knock-kneed or otherwise incorrectly, then I'm not going to be able to do that effectively. The second thing when I'm setting myself up, and we'll see this better from down the line, is that both knees are flexed the same amount. And looking from the side there, a good checkpoint is that the front of my knee is about level with the end of my laces there, or slightly forward of the middle of my shoe. Also, when I set myself up, the combination of knee flex and tilting forward from my hips mean my balance should be in the middle of my feet. Now, when you first do that, if you find that you tilt forward, flex your knees, and you feel like your balance is going forwards, or you flex from the hips and bend your knees and your balance is back on your heels, just make that little adjustment essentially through my ankles there so that my balance is really evenly placed on both feet. So it's in the middle of my feet not up on my toes, nor back on my heels. So now I'm in a position to be able to swing the club in a really well balanced position. Now from there, as the club swings back and through, pressure's going to the left side, and straight away as the pressure moves forward, it's moving forward to the middle of my foot. And again, that knee will straighten as it swings through. Definitely won't lock, but it's able to do that because of how I've set myself up, and I've had minimal unnecessary leg movement during the swing. So if I play a shot here, and again we're looking for minimum unnecessary movement. So I felt pretty well balanced and stable during that swing. So I'm not looking for excessive movement through my lower body, but I am critical, or very critical of players setting themselves up so that they're really well balanced and stable to start with. Like I said, even if it feels a little bit different, get those knees, get the ankles set correctly. The feet can be either ideally just turned out a little bit, which will encourage movement in both directions. If for some players who have very limited motion in the backswing, if they turn the right foot out a little bit more to encourage a bit more rotation, that's absolutely fine. If I rotate my foot out a bit more, it actually does the opposite to being knock-kneed. So that's going to restrict my hip turn because of my knees already rotated, my legs already rotated in. If I turn my right foot out a little bit, now my leg's rotated out. So as I go back, it takes a lot longer before I'm starting to rotate through that right hip and have any movement restriction there. So if you have, say, poorer mobility through hips, then turning the right foot out a little bit is quite okay. It does restrict your movement going through, but the ball's already gone by the time you actually have to start really turning through. Practice that movement, observe it with, say, a camera or even in a mirror, both from front view so that you're seeing that your knees, hips and ankles are lined up correctly, and also from the side view so that your knee is over the middle of your laces there. And if you find that's different, then you've probably just unlocked something that's going to give you a lot more stability with your swing.